what you went to actually did change your trajectory and did make a difference in your life. Was it worth it? Yeah. How many times do you watch or binge on TV and you just wasted an hour of your life? Don't act like every minute that you spend is not wasted. There's sometimes you got to put yourself out there and you got to take a chance that maybe this is the right fit for me, maybe it's not. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and we're back with a Whiskey Wednesday episode. My main man, Mr. Dave Sabulich.
What's up, Shawn?
What's up, brother?
How you doing?
What do we got today? We got some good things to talk about.
Yeah,
all right,
we got a good episode. I'm excited. So you want to get started?
Yeah, let's get started. Just as a reminder, let's tell everybody, new listeners, our Whiskey Wednesday episodes are just short, sweet, to the point. We try to keep them 20 minutes or less. Sometimes we go a little bit over because I get a little long-winded, but we do our best to keep them short and talk about some things going on in our world, some things that are trending in the short-term rental world. When those things do come up, we want to talk to you about those, and then we answer some questions that you guys send in. So always, as a reminder, if you have questions, whatever platform you're watching, listening on, put those questions in the comments. You can also email them in to Dave at support@vodyssey.com. He'll make sure he puts them on an upcoming episode. So all that being said, we'll dive in. Let's do it.
Yeah, we love the questions. So if you have any questions, shoot them over to me. We'll get them answered for you. So
let's. What's our bullet points on what we're going to talk about?
The agenda today is we're going to talk a little bit about marketing, social media marketing, and some of the responses that we get that are super interesting and kind of telling of where people's minds are in their journey. And I want to kind of dive in. I got the exact quotes, and then we're going to jump right into some good questions. This might, you might get a little fired up today.
Hey, let's. I like how you try to ruffle the feathers a little bit.
I'm going to poke a bear today.
Yeah.
The grizzly method bear.
Some of these comments I've probably seen, and some of them I probably haven't.
No. So we, as people know, we try to have a presence on social media and various different platforms, and we send out, marketing campaigns to get people interested in Odyssey, get people interested in short-term rental, try to help them along their journey, give them education, things like that. So this one was a particular email that we sent out about, potentially doing a little online workshop, a couple day, I think it was like a 5-day workshop, maybe an hour a day, and got a lot of responses, a lot of people interested. I think we'll eventually do that, and hopefully people can take advantage of that. But really interesting that what people respond to. It's kind of crazy. And so I'm going to start off with the craziest one first.
Okay.
And then we'll
start
it
there.
But so I'm just, it's
we don't want to build up.
Quote.
We don't want to build up.
No, let's just direct quote right here.
Okay.
Let's build up.
Okay. Let's build
I'll change
up.
it up.
Give me a, let me work on my way up.
Okay, let's build up. So, no names, just people out there.
Okay.
I don't even know the names. I just pulled it off the email. And anyway, so here's the first one. If it is a true workshop, I would consider attending. But if there's a $5,000 fee for a full course at the end, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first one.
Okay. So we typically do respond to these just so if you are listening, most of the people who listen to our podcast, like our marketing is podcasts and emails. That's really what our marketing is. Not huge on social, right? I don't do a ton on social. But our emails is a big deal. And so this was a 5-day workshop we offered and just said, hey, listen, I'm just testing the waters, just trying to see, this is a 5 Years to Freedom workshop. We'll go an hour a day and just try to really help people navigate the decision on what they're going to do, right? And it's really not a short-term rental investing workshop, but it's kind of leading into what path am I going to run down and helping you understand how I would do my due diligence before I ran down a path, before I chose my passive income vehicle, before I chose if I was going to hire a mentor and what to look for and all that stuff. And so it's funny how somebody says, hey, listen, I'll do it, but I'm not interested if there's a course. Well, first of all, there is a course and it's not but the workshop itself is it's not, I want you to see, hey, listen, Shawn's awesome and he does an amazing job at these workshops. Yeah, I would like to, if I'm going to run down the short-term rental game, I would love to have a conversation and see if it works for you. But in our world, we get a little bit upset about some of this stuff, and we shouldn't probably. We do because we know on the back end, if anything, we try to talk people out of working with us.
Right.
I mean, we want to be a part of that journey, but I try to talk people out of it for the simple fact, if I can talk you out of it, it's not the right journey for you. It's not the right fit because this is a road that you're going to run down for a long period of time. And so if I can talk you out of it in a 45-minute conversation and talking about the pros and the cons, probably not the right fit. This workshop had nothing to do with that. It's not even a short-term rental workshop. And so it's funny how the limiting belief and the limiting mindset of somebody like that, and it keeps them from really trying to grow and move forward. So what if there's a mentorship at the back end of something? So what if you get sold? You go, how many conferences have you been to where they sell you and they pitch you after a presentation, and the presentation was eye-opening for you?
Yeah.
Say no to it if you don't want to get pitched. And this wasn't going to be that, but we have done workshops where we pitch.
Yeah.
But we try to add a ton of value to say, hey, listen, here's what you can learn, and if you want some help implementing that stuff, like we show you all the how-to. All we do on mentoring is trying to help somebody execute and implement. And so it's interesting to me what a limiting mindset and what a limiting belief system a person like that has. They're probably sitting at they're punching a clock every single day, trading their time for money, and they're never going to do anything because they have that attitude, and it's kind of sad. Really.
Well, and I think too, I love, if there's a $5,000 fee, like. Yeah. I guess some things cost. Like if you want to get an education.
And by the way, my fee is a lot more than $5,000.
Yes.
So I'll take that away from you right now. It's not $5,000. It's a lot more than that.
Yes, and we responded to him and said, nope, it's not $5,000. It's more than $5,000. But if you're not ready to take that journey. But I also love he put the true workshop versus not like a regular workshop. So I don't know what that meant, but I thought that was pretty funny.
And let's give him the benefit of the doubt. There are a lot of workshops that are that are put together that really aren't. They're a full-on sales pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, in our world, we've been doing this for a long time. Anybody that's attended one of our workshops knows it's an actual workshop.
And they get a lot of good information. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's jump to the second one here. This is a little bit longer, but there's a lot in here, but it's kind of funny. But it's my interest would depend on how much actual information you are presenting. So obviously they want a lot of information. There are a lot of ways to build a great, rich lifestyle. And then there are ways that work, but only in a window of, for example, in low interest rates, a lot of money reserves, for younger people, for property owners, etc. If your information is more on the common sense side and doesn't really apply to most people in my situation, then I wouldn't be interested in it. Please note, how many people put out a 10-minute or a 30-minute or even a 1-hour YouTube video and masterclass? Not all apply to everyone. One has to be cautious and choose carefully. Would it be a workshop to build your audience in a 5-day workshop? Anthony Robbins did many short talks before he built the following to do a seminar and retreats. People don't have 5 days or money to waste. I have not determined the time it will take me to start your education or the funds to fully develop it. Lot to unpack there.
Why the fuck are we talking about this? This is
awesome, right?
First of all, these were
it's funny where people's minds are and how they justify whether they're going to do it or not.
There's a lot of crap. I get it. You have to weed through a lot of crap out there. We hope that we're not that, right? We really are diligent about trying to provide a lot of value. Like we do this stuff. Like I don't get sponsorships from this podcast and everything else. It does help us where people are part of the conversation. They end up being part of our mentoring program. Like, right? I'm not going to apologize for that. The workshop itself, and you're right. Not everything applies to everybody. You're 100% correct.
Right.
I'm not. We don't try to be everything to everybody. But I do believe that you're really shortchanging yourself if you think that most things are only work in certain environments. Like try to find something that has some lasting power, like some staying power. And it's got to be around the fundamentals. Like what we do as far as our real estate investments, it's all about the fundamentals, right? Buying the right properties in the right areas, understanding how to identify that stuff, setting up great experiences and being able to deliver those experiences, and then understanding the marketing concepts on the back end to get your unfair share of business. Those are time-tested principles that are going to be fundamental today, and they're going to be fundamental in 20 years from now, and they were fundamental 40 years before us.
All right.
And those things don't change. And so, yeah, you're right. But I mean, that's a long response to say what? Like to say, I mean, I'll give you the bullet points of what we're talking about, but to really, look in the mirror and say, I mean, you're your own worst enemy, right? You're holding yourself back because you're so skeptical about, so what if you did learn something new? What if what you went to actually did change your trajectory and did make a difference in your life? Was it worth it? Yeah. How many times do you watch or binge on TV and you just wasted an hour of your life? Don't act like every minute that you spend is not wasted. There's sometimes you got to put yourself out there and you got to take a chance that maybe this is the right fit for me, maybe it's not.
Well, and if you've followed Vodacy and you've followed you and followed our podcast and some of the things that we do, you have to have faith that what we're putting out and what we're doing is genuine and really want to help. And if you don't believe that and you haven't done your research, then obviously, don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't show up. Don't waste your time. If you got better things to do, for sure do them. I mean, we're just saying, hey, listen, we're putting this out there, and would you be interested in it? Is really what the question was. If I'm gonna put together a 5-day workshop and an actual workshop, and really try to provide a lot of value for 5 days straight, I want to know if there's interest before I spend the time and do it, right? And so, and that's all we were really asking. And it's funny how people look at this and read into it, and then they say, well, maybe not, and here's why, and here's why I wouldn't. And I appreciate the feedback. I really do. I kind of am giving it a bad rap, but at the same time it's these people are their own worst enemy. I mean, you're going to have to at some point explore new things and take some chances. And this is sometimes a chance. If you attend a workshop, mine or anybody else's, it's a chance of whether you're going to get a return on that time, right? Yeah. We know how valuable time is. It's our most valuable asset for all of us. There's times where we're like, man, that was worth it. I got a great return. There's other times where I've attended something, I'm like, wasn't really my cup of tea, right? Yeah. And that's
you probably still learned something from it, and you probably bettered yourself,
Yeah, and sometimes we just it just isn't right, and we're like, and I've attended stuff that I'm like, really, like this was kind of a waste of time, right? It was, but. It's not the first time I've wasted time. It won't be my last. And so I hope to not be a waste of somebody's time, for sure, right? We do our best to deliver value at every point of contact we have. But if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. And so I would say to that, though, is, take some chances. Like, don't be so skeptical that you don't ever listen to somebody new or trust that they're going to do something. I mean, there's a lot of garbage out there. I get it. I 100% agree. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in the internet marketing world is there's a lot of gurus. I hate the term guru. I hate to be even coined as a guru or a coach or anything in that world, because I think there's so many of them that have zero experience and they are trying to promote something just to make a dollar on whatever they're selling instead of actually making the money on what they do, right? And so, but there's people out there that really do a good job. Yeah, and so sometimes you have to wade through all that.
Yeah. Here's the last and best of all the game. You remember that game we played in elementary?
I remember.
This is it. So, for me, not sure yet what you offer is worth the time investment. Mostly because I don't have a clear idea of what you offer specifically. What I'm looking for is someone to give me the roadmap to a lifestyle asset within a community that I would like to visit often, with no risk that I'm going to over leverage, and find funding for me to do it, and pay for it out of my cash flow or with business funding, not with my own capital. Is this something you offer? I'd be interested. Anybody out there? If you guys have programs like that,
sign me up.
Email us, and Shawn and I both sign up.
Right. Yeah, I would love a roadmap to not have any capital. Make sure that it's a home run.
No risk,
no money. Like and in areas that I want to go use and find it for me.
For you and set it up, and I'd like to go stay there.
Come on, really? That's what we want. Really, that's how. I mean, that's what Here's the thing. This is the problem with everything that you see on social media and everything else, and all the rented Ferraris and all the rented houses that people pose in and the rented private jets, that they assume that there's this easy button that you push and this path like this. Like, really, does somebody really believe that exists?
Yeah.
That's really kind of sad.
That's why we saved this one for the third one.
Oh, hell. Like, really? We're going to, me too. I want that too. If you can show me that, where there's no risk, there's no work, somebody does it for me, I don't have any money in, and I'm making a bunch of money and using properties, boy, that'd be awesome. That blueprint would be awesome. I'd love to see that blueprint. The unfortunate part is people are selling that blueprint.
I know, exactly.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Everybody wants the house. Nobody wants the process to get the house, right? Everybody wants the portfolio. Nobody wants the process and the work that it takes to build the portfolio. Everybody wants the back end of everything. But we don't want that. The blueprint we want is just to push a button and it's done for us, and not the blueprint of saying, okay, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and put this time and effort in. I'm going to have some capital that I've got to save up or pull from somewhere else and figure out how I'm going to get a return on that investment. How am I going to return on my time? And that's what is really sad, is that somebody, like, there's a lot of that those promises out there, and there's a lot of people who believe that really exists. Really, it's like, okay, unfortunately, that's not us, and maybe I've never figured that out. I definitely haven't figured it out, and maybe it does exist. I don't believe that exists, or we would all do that.
Exactly, we'd all be signed up for that program.
We would all be millionaires, and we'd all have portfolios, and we'd all have everything that we wanted. That's not how it works. It's not how life works. It's really sad that we've gotten to that point where people actually. I mean, that's a real response that you just read. That's crazy,
word for word, and it is. It's sad that people. That's their mindset, and that's not what we're selling. We're selling hard work, effort, success, blueprint, process, and we can promise if you commit and make this a priority, we have a path for you. So, okay, let's.
And those people with that are listening, if you ever are sold that blueprint, freaking run, turn around and run. I mean, understand. That is not how it works, period, right? Yeah. Why do we talk about 5 years to freedom. 5 years is a long dang time to put in an effort in something, but really it's a short period of time to have any success in anything. It's like nobody wants to load the spring up, right? There's this time in investing where all you're doing is compressing the spring. All you're doing is making progress, but you don't see the returns, you don't see the progress. And eventually sometimes the energy in that spring releases and shoots you to the moon, right? Yeah. And so, but it's down the line. It's after you've compressed the spring. It's turning that flywheel. It's pushing it every single day when you don't want to push it. And it's heavy. But once that thing starts turning and you've got that momentum and you've got that inertia behind it, all of a sudden it's really tough to stop and things are really good. But everybody wants that, right? Nobody wants to start pushing it from start.
Yeah, good. Okay. Couple good questions here. What do you? These are from actually within our community that reached out and asked these. What do you put in the welcome note or letter to your guests when they arrive? How much detail do you put in there? So when you have a welcome basket, you have a little welcome note. What do you put in there? Because we had one person asked, do we put in like, hey, here's the local amenities, here's the local things, and so forth. But what do you suggest?
So if you're worried about what to put in, just simply put in, hey, Dave. Thanks so much for coming to our property. We're so glad you're here to visit. We hope you love this property as much as we do. We've got, treat it like your own, use it like your own, anything you need, please let us know. Like, you're just basically thanking them for being there, really saying, hey, we hope you enjoy this property as much as we do. And, if there's anything you need, let us know. That's a good welcome note, and you can use it
handwritten
all the time, handwritten, and just make sure you've got the handwritten note and signed by you and your family. And we use that. Now, there are times where I will put more into that, like depending on my target audience and depending on my experience. For example, one of the most custom experiences that I had was a fly fishing experience. And that note said, hey, listen, I left a box of my favorite flies on the counter. Please use them. I want you to use them. By the way, I also highlighted a map of the area with my favorite fishing holes and my favorite spots on the river. Pay attention to that. And so I hope that is helpful on your trip, and I hope you really enjoy your trip. So there are times where I will put more than that. Maybe it's my favorite restaurant. Hey, but while you're here, I hope you have time to visit XYZ restaurant because it's our favorite. That just makes it like, hey, listen, that's part of that experience. And so you can add those things. But you want to keep it
fairly
simple and short, and just hey, listen, we really hope you enjoy this property.
And some of those other amenities or attractions and things you can put in your guest book, and as they kind of title it restaurants or parks or museums or so they'll have all that information. You don't want to get too wordy in there, because they have places to go to really dial that in.
So and you might put that in that letter, right? You might say, hey, listen, if you've got a really good detailed guest book with a lot of recommendations, say, hey, we left the guest book for you with some of our favorite local attractions, restaurants, hikes. Make sure you check that out. I think you'll really enjoy when it'll help enjoy your time here. Something like that, right?
Yeah. Okay, good advice. All right, last question. For bookings over 8 people, we charge $50 a head for the extra people. Our short-term rental sleeps a total of 12, but for our bunk beds, how do you handle this?
This is a good question, because this is a topic, and this is just a strategy question. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. I want to say that.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what I do, and I'll tell you what I believe. And because I heard somebody else talking about this that is, a revenue manager, and they said that, hey, listen, they're a management company, and they say we basically price all of our properties for a total of 2 people. And so they're doing it kind of the extreme, and then they charge X amount per head above and beyond that. And some of these properties host 10 to 12 people. I've never done that. I always just have a base price. I can host X amount of people, and you charge, you're renting the whole house, right?
I agree, yeah.
I think that is the best, easiest way, the easiest to manage. There's no surprises for the guest. Because what happens is, and I was actually listening to a podcast of this guy talk about this, and he was saying, in our market, we have a base price of 2, but what it does is it helps us really stand out, because we have this really cheap property that can sleep 10 to 12 people, and if there's 2 people, and they're less wear and tear, whatever, we can justify a lower price, because sometimes we have smaller groups coming in, and it puts us in the pricing algorithm for the smaller properties. And we show up there, right? They said, though, the problem with it, or not the problem, what they do is they charge X amount per head after that. But it has sounded to me like a management nightmare. And I've seen this and I've heard about it, because what happens is they said most of the guests will book for 2 people, and then they watch their Ring doorbell or their outside surveillance cameras, and when 8 people check in, they file a claim with Airbnb, because it was in their rules and in their listing that anybody over 2 charged X. And the podcast host said, well, when you're managing that, you have to watch that on every check-in. Do you reach out to the guest first, or do you reach out to Airbnb? He said, no, if the guest books just 2, we found that they kind of ghost us when we ask them that question. So we just call Airbnb, we provide 3 photos, the more people showed up, and then they get charged more, right? So their booking could literally double or triple. Whether the guest was trying to slide under the cracks or not trying to slide under the cracks, they don't even know, because they don't really communicate with the guest. To me, this all sounds like a management nightmare for your management partners. And this person was managing their own property. He has to use virtual assistants to monitor the cameras, because he doesn't want to watch the cameras all the time, right? And so there's all these things he was saying logistically, and I'm just listening to it. And he said, but his argument was that they make all this extra revenue from heads, so his argument was saying it's a lot more money in their pocket to do that. I just think it's a horrible guest experience.
Exactly.
That's my opinion on it. I don't think it's a good guest experience. I think even if it wasn't detracting from the guest experience, you can make the argument maybe, that it is or isn't. I believe it does, but let's say you believe it doesn't. You better be set up to manage it, because the way he was talking about it logistically, it sounds like a pain. When you file a claim with Airbnb, you have to be ready 24/7. He said Airbnb is a 24/7 company, so they call you at midnight or 2 in the morning. You better answer, because you get one call back from them to be able to capture that, and for them to review it and say yes or no. And if they have a question and you don't answer it, it automatically gets declined.
Well, and it turned me off too, is if I'm booking an Airbnb and it's 6 people, and anybody over 6, you charge $50, and I got 7, and it's a kid or something, and families, and I know where they're trying to go is they're trying not to get big bachelor parties and things like that. They're in there and so forth, and just whoever's staying in bunks. But I also, if I booked it, which I know it's not right, but if I booked it for 2 people and I brought 8, and then they just tripled my booking and my fees, I probably am not going back there either. So my return stays are probably not there. And I agree completely. Simple, just if you sleep 12, then if they bring 12, that's fine. You
Yeah.
know, maybe raise your rates to make up for that if that's the reason, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I think if you can host 12, and if 4 people show up, great, right? Yeah. If you know, you got less wear and tear on your property. You know, I do agree with them saying you will show up in searches for smaller groups where a 12, you know, a 4-bedroom that sleeps 12 is probably not showing up in searches for 2 people.
Exactly.
But where they kind of manipulate that to where they do show up in all of those different searches, they argue that they get more bookings, but the bigger groups are paying a lot less, and then it's kind of like this bait and switch almost. Like, here's the price. Oh, by the way, you owe X amount more because that was only pricing for 2 people and you've got 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever it is. I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah. I don't do it. I would never do it. I think it's a bad customer experience, and we're all about the customer experience.
Yeah, good. All right, buddy. Great episode, man.
Yep.
I love it.
All
Heck
right.
yeah, good job.
Let's wrap it up, and we'll go search for that blueprint that we can find. Somebody can find us the properties. We don't have to put our own money in. They finance it. It's risk-free. We get to use it, and we're making a bunch of money.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in. If you find it, I'm in.
We'll look for that for you guys.
We'll update you on the next episode.
Hopefully on the next episode, we have that blueprint for you guys. So we'll do our best. So guys, we'll wrap it up today. We know how valuable your time is, and we do appreciate you spending it with us. As always, we don't run sponsorships or any ads on this. So the only way for this show to grow is for you guys to share it. And so if you know somebody else that would like to be a part of these conversations and would enjoy listening to Dave and I hash out some questions on short-term rentals, and then on our Fridays with interviews with other short-term rental investors, share the show. We do appreciate that. If you like it, review it on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. Those things help us as well. And the final, most important thing that I ask you and challenge you every episode is pick that one thing you can do today to start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, buddy.